up by 1-800-ASK-GARY. Now, who's taking the stand?
Well, it's Davy.
Yes.
Davy is ready to tell us all about his inner thoughts.
All the social medias are down.
All the social media is locked. You're
off.
locked out of everything. You have no communication with the outside world. Now we get 3 questions from the room, 3 from the listeners. You got 1 pass and 1 boomerang to hit back.
All right.
Let's see. Meredith, you are first.
Davy, you have talked about having threesomes before on the Freak Show.
Wow. We just jumping right into that.
right into it.
Okay.
You've been open and honest about it, of course, which
Okay.
is fantastic. You said before that you've had over a dozen threesomes.
Yeah, he said like that.
I said, more than 10.
Yeah, more than 10. Yeah, like,
Yeah. We'll say maybe a baker's dozen.
his resume is crazy.
Well, here's my question for you. I need you to rank your favorite threesome and your least favorite threesome and why.
My favorite
Wait,
one.
you're not tapping out on this?
Oh no, this is good. This is fine. My favorite one was this one time I was DJing at this spot in downtown St. Pete, and I had there was this girl that I would deal with from time to time. Her name was Rachel, and she came with another girl whose name was also Rachel. And I took them both home, both the Rachels. And I just thought it was awesome. And I really
Thought it was awesome because of their names? Or
because their
performance?
names and the performance was great.
Did they work well together?
It was some it was some strange. So that was always fun.
Okay.
The Rachels. The least favorite was the time I was in my car. I had
You had a threesome in your car.
in my car, yeah.
Were you young?
Yeah, youngish. I had a car though, but
I mean,
it was.
Was that the police car that you had?
No,
Because that was a big car. Because I'm like, what? Was this a little car?
it was. It was a. I don't want to say exactly. I don't want to date it.
Okay.
But we were just cramped. We were just cramped, and one of the girls smelled like cigarettes.
Oh. Can't take it.
But you still did it, though.
It could
Yeah, I
be the
still
dirtiest
did.
thing. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
of
still
course.
did.
Yeah, man, I tapped out before because of cigarettes.
Cigarette smoke,
I
yeah.
was like, nah, bro.
Turn off.
I probably smelled like Black and Miles.
It's just magic.
Indeed, you did. Indeed.
Yeah.
All right, okay. All right, that's your answer.
Shout out to the Rachels.
But yeah, man, if anybody's wife name is Rachel, you making it really hard. So why do you follow him on Instagram? All right, Buck Nasty, what you got?
All right, Davy. So fill in the blank this question. If a woman does blank in bed, I'm kicking her out of my house right now.
Ooh,
If a woman does blank in bed,
kicking her out of the house.
Little whoop whoop.
oh wow.
Little whoop, little whoop whoop.
Oh,
No, don't give him hints. Don't give him hints.
I was thinking like, wow. No, I didn't even think
I
about
wasn't
that.
even thinking that.
That's totally off limits. I would say like messing with her phone or something like that, not being like totally present in the moment. I think that's
so
one.
we talking about sex, or we talking about just in the bed? 'Cause
That's what
I was thinking.
Well,
either way.
Buck wrote this question down, so I was figuring that
You
that's what he was talking
sex.
about.
I was thinking like, okay, you can't be eating cookies or crackers.
Oh, nah.
Like, okay.
Well, I thought about it either way. Like when you bring a girl home, if she does something and you're like, nah, you got to go before it even starts. Or it could be, you guys are about to get it on and you notice something.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how I took it.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, then that's a different one.
That's
all
no
right.
good.
Yeah. All right. Well, bet. All right. Let's see here. So on her phone. All right, Davy, I wrote one too.
Okay.
All right, Davy, you are now an entrepreneur.
Okay.
So boardroom Davy is what I call this Davy. All right, now boardroom Davy, is he as risky as his predecessor, regular Davy? Because you've always believed in second chances and people's story not defined by their shortcomings. So now that you have these businesses and you now have people applying to work for you, are you going to be as lenient with the flawed criminal record folks that come in and want to work for Rolando Incorporated?
Oh, that's interesting.
Or are you going to be not trusting of these folks around all your money and goods and property?
I think as far as like a business plan, I will be a lot more cautious in business than I was or have been in my personal life, just because it's not all on me. I have other people relying on me. I have other people that have invested time, money, energy into this thing. So, no. But as far as people people that I hire, I wouldn't put like your past as a disqualifying thing. I would take everything from a case-by-case basis. Somebody with a criminal record, I would treat them and interview them just the same as somebody with a pristine, clean record, because I'm a firm believer that that doesn't define who you are. We've all made mistakes. Some people got caught making their mistakes, and some people didn't. So it would obviously dependent on, like, if you have a criminal record for theft, embezzlement, or stuff like that, that's a red flag. But like, if you got popped with some weed when you were 18 or something like that, I would just say it would be a case-by-case thing.
All right.
All right, I got a question. Are you doing background checks on the people you hire?
All good questions.
Very good questions right here. All right, you completed your 3 in a row.
I did.
So now you still got a pass. You got a boomerang, and you got 3 coming from the audience. He shut out of his socials. All right, you got one off the text.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a bunch of them. Just try to pick which one I should go with. Okay.
I got one that I flagged over here.
Okay, all right. On a recent Plead the Fifth, the last one with Orlando, he said Mr. Rolando has messed up really bad and had to have stern talkings too. So, Davy, what is the biggest mistake you've made while working at the radio station?
Oh, man.
People want to know.
Ooh.
One of the ones that comes to mind was when I was on the street team. I was working an event actually for our country station, and I was driving this like 4x4. I think they call it a mule, but it's like a big souped up golf cart, but it's gas powered and it goes really fast.
It's a vehicle.
It's a vehicle.
Okay.
And we were doing tailgating. Luckily, there was absolutely no alcohol involved. That was my saving grace. But I was driving that, and we were all over the amphitheater. Yep.
That's fairground.
I was driving the mule. There was a car on one side and there was a tent on the other. And I decided that I was just going to go right through the middle. I was like, I got enough room. I'm not going to hit either of them. Well, I ended up hitting both. Yep. I took out the tent and I scratched this girl's car in front of probably like 200 people.
Yeah, everybody saw it. And people were like, he fired.
Yeah,
he fired.
In my mind, I was fired too. I was like, no. And the girl was actually pretty cool about it. And then her boyfriend was like, no, absolutely not. They made this big deal about it. And I got suspended. I had to redo my driving test. And I thought it was a wrap for me.
I thought it was a wrap for him too. I was like, he did what?
They gave you a second chance.
They gave me a second chance.
That was back when they actually before they cut you or clipped you around here. They would have a consensus for like a meeting with everybody because it was like a department head thing, and so I was able to say, all right, man, give him another shot.
And
he saved
that
you.
one.
Not me, but I'm saying everybody. A lot of people had nice stuff to say.
I had one more event that is a close second. I almost died one time. I was driving the vehicle and it had
the mast.
The big, almost like a news station.
Yeah, when you
vehicle.
see the news vans and they got the big tower that's on top that raises up for an antenna, that's what he crashed.
So to drive the vehicles at the time, we had to take an 8-hour driving course. About 6.5 of those hours were about not hitting any lines with the mast.
Whole meeting.
Yeah. And then what you do in the case that you have to bunny hop. There's this whole protocol. I hit something. I didn't follow the protocol. I could have died.
Electrocuted himself because he jumped out.
And my boy Jabbar, the weekend guy, he was in the car with me too.
You were bunny hopping?
He was.
Yeah,
I was not.
He was not bunny hopping.
So I had to take the driving test again for that too.
He knows the driving test like the back of his head. Yeah, Davy was not the best driver.
Yeah,
all right, let's see here. You have another question, and it says, God, we thought that answer was long. Let's see. Davy.
Yes.
I want to know your biggest problem with law enforcement / the judicial system. And if you were president, what other than marijuana use would you be less stringent on? What would be more acceptable in Davy's
My
world?
biggest problem with the legal system, the first thing that comes to my mind, my personal problem is that I've been falsely arrested before. Everybody laughs, and it's not a laughing matter. It's not a laughing matter.
Sorry, dog.
Because I got arrested for possession, but there was nothing. The charges got immediately dismissed because there was legitimately nothing in my possession. The officer just got mad because he asked if he could search my vehicle, and I
you
told
said
him
no.
no.
Yeah.
And then he quickly arrested me. What I would change, or you'll see something on the news and there'll be an officer and he'll be acting wrong. And they'll always say that, one bad apple doesn't spoil the bunch. But I never hear the good cops standing up and trying to check the cops that are the quote unquote bad apples.
Yeah.
So that is a big pet peeve of mine. And what I would change is the fact that I feel like these officers will do something that's totally egregious. They will beat somebody down and then they'll get paid administrative leave. That bothers me.
Instead of
It seems like there's no repercussions. If anybody is above the law, it's law enforcement. And if I was the president, that would be day one. Change that.
Changed up.
Yeah.
Woo. President driving. Maybe you run. Maybe you run on the ticket with Cardi. Be home running man. That'd be a lit ticket.
Yeah,
right there.
running from the law.
There's some black sedans outside that's not ours. Let's see here. All right, we got one more.
Yes.
What you got?
Davy, if you could pick one person from Wild to replace Mark, since he's no longer on the show, who would it be and who wouldn't you want it to be?
I pick Buck, our boy right
That's
here.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying right now. And I want to take this chance during Plead the Fifth to throw my name in the hat. All the listeners out there, I want you to hit Orlando in his DMs, because what I can do for the show is I can promise video. You guys be watching us on the gram every day.
Why did that happen?
Not just Mondays.
Why did y'all
Tuesday,
do that?
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
Like,
Saturday.
Really? Am I doing interviews now? What?
I was waiting for this question for 2 weeks now. We got to make this happen, people. Listeners, hit up now.
Oh, wow.
I didn't see that.
I didn't see that coming.
I am not prepared. Okay. All right.
Good pitch.
You got anything else on your chest?
Yes, I do, but I'm just going to let the show go.
All right. Do you have a boomerang you want to use?
Yeah, what the last one? Who do you guys want to replace?
Oh, my God.
We still got a couple minutes left.
Oh, man, there's a lot of people that have, been hitting up. Oh,
I have no vote. I can't have a vote.
he can't have a vote because he's the one that hires.
I can't have a
That's
vote.
a bad question, Davy. You sure you don't want
What
to pick
about
another
you,
one?
Meredith? No, I'd love to hear your opinion.
Sweating right now.
Meredith, who would you want to see?
I mean, I know it's a convenience thing, but also I do like the thought, just because there's a familiarity there with Buck. We've worked with him for years now.
Y'all do know Buck don't know how to do the job.
What are you talking about?
I mean, I'm just saying, we push some buttons Buck has never pushed.
I have pushed those buttons. Oh, don't let me go through the resume again.
I mean, since we're doing the interview on the air, Buck has applied for 92 positions in the building.
No, I haven't.
You want to be the chef, the baker, the candlestick maker? You want to be everything.
I am a jack of all trades in radio, and that's why I'd be perfect.
Hi, Jack.
Oh, man.
All right. Wow. So is that it?
I think so. I think that's it.
Plead the Fifth is a wrap. God, it's like monster.com right